Hello YouTube! It is day 4 of Booktubeathon. Yesterday, didn't read as much as I wanted to, but got a fair amount done. I finished Landline, which we'll talk about in a second. Today's video challenge for Booktubeathon is to make a poem out of nothing but book titles using less than 10 titles. So here is the poem I wrote. What the eye hears in a sunburned country, terminus, the artist's way, art and fear where the sidewalk ends, the courage to create good poems. So that is my submission. I hope you liked it. As far as my reading goes, still working on Monstrous Regiment, and I'm about to start up on Year of Yes by Shonda Rhimes, an audiobook. What I did finish on audiobook was Landline, which I have friends who have very conflicting feelings about Landline. Some people really love it, and some people really hate it. And I went and read the reviews afterwards, so if you haven't read Landline and you don't want a lot of things spoiled for you, you should probably not watch the rest of this video. So a very basic summary of the plot of Landline. There's this woman named Georgie. She's in her 40s. She's got 2 kids. She's married to a man named Neil, who lives at home with the kids. And at the beginning of the book, Georgie, who is a TV comedy writer, has just gotten her big chance for her and her writing partner to write the show that they've been dreaming about writing for years, but they need to get a bunch of episodes and a pitch ready right now. And Georgie is supposed to leave for Omaha to spend Christmas with her husband and kids and his mother. And so she comes home and is like, I can't do this. I need to stay here and write these scripts. And he's like, fine, we're going to Omaha without you, and sort of leaves in a huff. And she's got this writing partner, Seth, that she has some sort of unresolved history with, and so the book then goes to her going to write with Seth and being upset about her husband, and then she keeps going home to her mother's house rather than her own home, into her childhood bedroom. She's trying to call her husband on the phone, and he's never answering. And over time, we start to realize that when she calls on the landline of her mother's home, which is like her college phone that she would have been using, she's able to speak to the college version of Neil, who is the Neil who once left in a huff for Omaha when they kind of had a fight and then came back and proposed. And so it's her talking to her husband in the past before he's her husband, before he's even proposed. In fact, it's right before he proposes. And so the rest of the book is her kind of freaking out, not telling anybody, angry at Seth, trying to write this show, trying to get in a hold of her husband right now in the current time, and then kind of talking to him and sort of whispering sweet nothings into this like almost teenage version of her husband, Neil. And then partway through the book, she starts to realize, oh, maybe this me from the future talking to him from the past is the reason that after he left for Omaha, when I thought he broke up with me and he came back and proposed, I'm the one who convinced him to do that. So now she has this pressure on herself to fulfill that promise that the past has made to her, that he has to end this week wanting to come and propose to her. And she works on that for a while, and then she gets upset and kind of collapses into this, I don't even know if we're meant to be together, and like, yeah, I mean, I love our kids and I want our kids to exist, but have I ruined your whole life? And then she just sort of drops everything and gets on a plane to go to Omaha completely unprepared, and shows up at his doorstep, and it's basically only once she gets there and sees him and he still recognizes her as his wife that she has confirmation that whatever she did on the phone worked. And he did propose to her in the past. They are still married. They still have kids. And from now on, she's going to be a better wife. A big complaint about Landline is the character of Neil, her husband, which I get because he does kind of feel like a whiny brat sometimes. I was not bothered by that so much. Credit to the narrator for the audiobook I listened to. She managed to capture what Rainbow Rowell was hoping for in Neil's like kind of flirtatious on the point, like, do you want me to like you kind of thing. So I really liked the narration of it, and maybe that had a lot to do with it. I actually early on in the book was a little mad about how it seemed like Neil was so great and everything was Georgie's fault. Like, there was no implication, as far as Georgie's concerned, for the entire book that Neil ever did anything wrong, that there was any problem with him not talking about how he felt, with him resenting her for abandoning his career. Like, he never says any of this. He's not good at explaining himself, and then he just kind of leaves in a huff, and she never for a moment blames him for anything. I had way more trouble with that. Ultimately, the biggest problem I had with Landline is that around chapter 11, I guessed the entire rest of the book. So I knew everything that was going to happen, and I knew how it was going to end. And so the rest of the book was just me listening to a story that I'd already told in my head. Near the end, it got disappointing because I started to think of other, more interesting things that I wanted to have happen that then didn't, because my original guess was correct. This book has enough character development for an entire novel, but enough plot for a short story. And by the end, especially just sort of imagining her in the airport without, like, good clothes on or a bag of any kind, I realized that what it is it's a romantic comedy. It feels like Rainbow Rowell went to someone in Hollywood and said, I've got this great idea for a movie, and they're like, well, we need you to write a book first so that it's already famous. Because that's what it felt like. It felt like this would be a great romantic comedy movie, and there's enough plot for 2 hours, but at least for me, there was not enough plot for an actual book, because I already knew where it was going. Every time we went back in time, every time we followed Georgie to and from her office, it was some great character development and history development and getting more about each of them, but it had no effect on Georgie that week. Her actions that week were always going to be those actions. I did enjoy reading it. It was fun. I can see why people like it. And there's a lot I liked about it. I'm not sure what my overall feelings about Landline are. I probably would have liked it a lot more if I didn't know it was coming. And that might have just been a fluke. Might have just gotten lucky. So those are my feelings about Landline. If you have any opinions of your own, please put them in the comments below. I'm gonna start reading again now because I'm way behind on Monstrous Regiment. And I gotta start Year of Yes. So have a great day, YouTube. And I will hopefully see you tomorrow. Bye!